Good evening. This is BoomerRexTonight. We have another Thanksgiving Explained Part 5. Tonight we discuss the details of how Thanksgiving became a holiday and eventually grew into what we know today. But I also have an update on the war for the first Thanksgiving. This is real. So let's move on and start off with Tesla tonight. Tesla drivers
Oh,
are
this
getting
one-
locked out of their cars.
No, you gotta love this one. Yeah, they've been getting locked out of their cars because the app that they use to open their car and make it go was down for a while. Right? So you've got Elon Musk saying, well, we're working on it and so forth and so. People, let me tell you something about cars. First of all, you don't ever set a car up so that you can't get in it, start the damn thing, and drive it away.
Right.
You don't ever set a car up so that you can't open the door without the lights coming on. You don't ever set a car up so that you can't drive it with the lights off. And the switch we've always needed and don't have is the I don't care what the computer says, right?
Right.
And I accept full responsibility for what happens. Make my vehicle move now
Yeah.
until it catches fire.
Function till mechanical death.
Yeah, folks, you're gonna be on some dirt road in Utah, 40 miles from the nearest drinking water, come back to your car and find out you can't get in because the battery in your cell phone's run down.
That's if you're
This
lucky.
is idiotic.
What if the guy who we were talking about protesting outside the who gives a shit shooting courthouse, right? What if that guy wandered off from work with the thing that lets you remotely kill any vehicle with OnStar on it?
Yeah.
So now your car just turns off, and you don't know why. But don't worry, that guy coming out of the darkness looks really helpful.
Yeah. No, it's, folks,
Make it Jason's job harder, goddammit.
Yeah, not easier. I mean, we're not
You
supposed
know-
to help these crazies.
if you live in a city and you can call an Uber and you live in a neighborhood that's nice and safe all the
Make it
time
now.
and you never go anywhere scary, fine. But the purpose of an automobile is to goddamn move when you
I don't
tell it
think the
to.
3 people you were just talking to are going to listen to many of our
No, I
episodes.
just,
We're going to realize
this,
that we probably wouldn't get along.
They checked out like after
stupid
episode 2.
can you be?
Like, I'm not touching this shit.
Oh no, the poorest, they're rising up.
That's why our first episode has so many views.
I just,
Yep,
Oh
rich
my
people go, oh, I'd like to
God.
see it. Oh, not them. They're mean.
so I can tell you a terribly short story. We had a Dodge, whatever the hell it was. It said Hangtown on the side. It was a fine car, but you had to buckle your seatbelt,
Oh, yeah.
and a paper clip got into the seatbelt,
Ah, nice.
and the car could not be moved. It took hours to fix that.
Oh, God.
And don't get me wrong, there are several holes in the system that I have every intention of taking advantage of. Like you file a key so you can easily snap it off in a lock. And it's going to take a while for anyone to be, like, they're going to have to call somebody.
Yeah.
Or
because
breach the
you
door.
can't- Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, that's not the same thing. That's,
Yeah, I mean, this is a self-inflicted injury.
yeah.
Did I tell you about the time that so we had my dog at my parents' house and my parents set the alarm and we went out for Christmas and it triggered the alarm.
The dog did.
Yeah, the dog triggered the alarm and the cops show up and my dad had forgotten apparently to close the garage door. So the inside door, which we never locked, don't even have a key to,
Right.
gets locked.
Yes.
Because the cop being nice, like, I'll just lock this for them on my way out, close
Oh, yeah?
the garage
Right,
door,
now
that
they
kind of
can't
thing.
get in the
Doing the
house.
right thing. So we come home from Christmas dinner, right? And we can't
Consider
we
garage.
can't get in.
I can get you
They had to break in because he gave keys to the neighbors and they weren't the right keys and like it was crazy
Oh, my
because we
God.
changed the locks or
Yeah.
something and it was ridiculous. So we eventually had to break into the house to get back in. It was hysterical.
Break a cheap window and drive on. No, but it's the more complex the
Shims.
systems become, right? One of the things that you need to do is look at the system and say, in the absolute worst case, right? What will I need this system to do? And the answer is, I need it to start and run.
Right.
And if it's in trouble or damaged or whatever, I need it to do. I don't mind it turning off its air conditioning because it doesn't have adequate cooling. I think that's a great idea. but it needs to move.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Agreed.
and it needs to not turn on its lights and silhouette you when you open the damn door at night.
Or at least have a way to
So-
turn that shit off.
Yeah, peace.
I'm perfectly fine if you want that.
If that happens in your garage, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I just being rude, I just assume that the Tesla app is just riddled with nonsense. Like, this sounds like it makes every Tesla vulnerable to playback.
Well, no, and haven't they proven that Teslas are actually vulnerable to hacking?
Oh,
like,
oh.
can't you hack into somebody's Tesla
Almost.
and like start steering for them and
Almost.
shit?
Any car with OnStar can be.
Yeah, but not
Can
all
be
cars
disabled.
have the steering. So it has to be able to steer somebody and drive them somewhere without them being able to do anything. You have to have a car like a Tesla, or there are some cars that have
Newer
automatic
ones, yeah.
parking and stuff like that. But
So coming right up is, why hasn't Africa had a COVID disaster? All right.
we're back.
Yeah. And so America is 60-something% vaccinated. Netherlands is 60-something% vaccinated. America's got rising COVID going into Thanksgiving. Netherlands has spectacularly high COVID infection rates. But if you look, Africa's got like a 2% vaccination rate. And you go to the public markets and stuff, people have their mask in their pocket. Because if the cop comes up, you get a fine if you don't have a mask. Doesn't say you have to wear it. And they aren't having the kinds of COVID death that we're having. So why the hell not?
Don't know.
Nobody knows. But there have been a number of questions. And a lot of that is they're out in the open. Their markets are open, et cetera, et cetera.
So they've
So
got
there's
good
this more
ventilation.
outside, you know. And it's not the classic urban environment. They did check. It turns out that if you have had malaria, you are much less likely to get COVID. They're not sure how much less, but less. And so there's another possibility, is that previous diseases that have swept through.
Yeah.
The other thing is they have a very different public health system than we do, right? Because they've been dealing with this environment for years.
Right.
And they do have sort of canned responses for Ebola and so forth,
Okay.
which they've been using to work on COVID, right? Which is to isolate the infected,
Yeah.
right? Discover and isolate the infected. So anyway, lots of possible reasons, but still kind of interesting that Africa has not had the COVID disaster that you would have thought they should have.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, it
well
just,
played, Africa.
yeah.
The malaria thing's interesting, and yeah, I'm definitely going with open air markets are less likely because it was bathrooms in offices and.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, again, what we discovered here is if vaccinated or not, if a member of your family is infected, you are very likely to become infected. You're in an indoor environment, right? Put a mask on them, isolate them, etc.
Yeah.
So,
No.
On the other hand, you'd need 3 people to get infected before you had a better than 50% chance anyone knew.
Right. Yeah, because you need someone to have a reaction, and most people don't even react to this at all. So, anyway, that's all very cool. Well played, Africa. So, what is going on with Finnish children playing in the dirt?
I love this. What the hell?
He's scratching his ear
Oh,
while leaning up against the thing.
yeah, don't do that, Wade.
Dun 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 dun. Dun,
Yeah,
dun,
that's a
dun,
dog
dun.
scratching his ears while he leans up against the display case. You should tell him one of those pieces of glass is worth more than he is. So anyway, this is one of those I stumbled across, and you look at it and go, oh, bullshit, right? This is your standard alternative medicine crap. So I Googled it.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you're going to hear comes from the American Association for the Advancement of Science,
Nice.
which the last time I checked is not Vanity Press.
Let me see if the Sacklers bought it.
Uh-oh.
So, what they did was they looked at Finnish children in their playgrounds where they had these, gravel covered playgrounds. They brought in a bunch of forest dirt
Right.
and dumped it in the playground.
Oh, yeah.
And then the children played there for like an hour and a half every day for a month. And they saw a dramatic increase in antioxidants in their blood and in all of the standard immunological, warrior cells, right?
Yeah.
And it just, guys, wait a minute. You mean if I just go out in the woods, I'll be more likely to withstand infections?
It's got to be woods, yeah, but
Yeah, well, it's kind of, it worked in the city where they brought forests.
yeah, I'm saying no.
Okay.
Like New Mexico will never heal from what we've done to it.
Peace.
The dirt is dead. And by never, we're just talking human scale. So 200-300 years, it'll be fine. But
So what that made me realize was when we were doing parks and stuff,
yeah,
I was getting better. I lost weight. And their gut biome
oh yeah,
became dramatically more diverse.
Nice.
And
That's
the
important.
skin biome
Your pets
became
and-
dramatically more.
we're supposed to be outside.
And apparently we're supposed to be in the forest.
Yes.
Well,
So
yeah,
anyway.
if you think about it, we've only really been living
So the hell
indoors
with
for the
this.
last 50-ish years.
I'm going back to the forest
Yeah.
because I felt better. I was in better shape. I was losing weight. I was all these things. So losing weight is strictly the biodiversity,
Oh, yeah.
right? In the
And probably
gut
sunshine,
biome.
but yeah.
Anyway,
Sunshine helps a lot, yeah.
yeah. Well, and we were moving around and lots of other things that's good for old, stupid
Well,
people.
let's
Boomers.
face it, anything that you do, right, in your house takes twice as much work to do while you're out camping.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily, yeah.
Anyway, so go play in the
Yeah.
forest dirt.
Time for recess, everybody.
Yeah. Get back out there and do your things.
Hug some trees.
All right, I think this leads really well into the importance of inclusion.
This one's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So France looked at, they have these housing developments called estates, and I don't know whether that's also a political division or not. But there were several estates which are in fact the poorest of the poor, right? Most of them immigrants, most of them from North Africa or West Africa, right? The schools in those, the schools were just terrible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the dropout rates were like 80%, and it's just ridiculous.
That's insane, yeah.
That's not a school.
Yeah, that's...
So they started busing them,
Good.
and they started busing them from the poorest urban neighborhoods
Yeah.
into more French neighborhoods, right?
Yeah.
Better integrated neighborhoods, etc. And it turns out inclusion works.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
So
every time.
the kids, formed friendships and so forth. They're now very comforted. I have to get up early to bus, right? But anyway, so they bus the kids from these estates to better schools, a better environment,
Yeah.
a more diverse environment. And the results are spectacular.
Oh yeah.
The dropout rate was over 50%. Now it's 6%.
There you go.
Yeah.
Grades are up across the board.
Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful.
They're doing the simple stuff like doing homework in class where the teacher can look over your shoulder and help and so forth.
Oh yeah.
And it's working.
Yeah, of course
Right.
it's working.
So
Well,
of course it's working, but it's nice to know that somebody actually tried it and it actually works. And you can hold up the data and say, guys, this is why you want inclusive schools.
Right.
Well, and long hours of homework is an adaptation largely to working parent households.
Right, and to impress the parents with how hard they're pushing the kids. Yeah, just ridiculous.
Yeah, and they don't learn anything. We know that doesn't improve test scores or any of the stuff that we use to actually check our
Yep.
kids' learning.
No, kind of sort of like homework is basically useless because when kids are doing homework, they're not really paying attention. Their brain's elsewhere.
There's one case where homework helps, right? When you teach a technique, like in mathematics, and you need to practice it enough for it to feel. But that's 5 or 6 problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
not
can
homework.
do,
Well, and we used to bring pages of like 30, 40,
An hour
and
a
as we
night
went
per
up
subject.
50. Well, and for me, it took much, much longer because I do have a learning disability. It takes, I take a longer time to read. So when I read instructions, it takes me longer. When I'm actually doing out math, it takes me longer. At one point, what they did to kind of help me out, because I would sit at my table for hours and hours and hours and do schoolwork. And my mom went to the teachers and was like, this is not okay. She's doing well. Like she's doing good. She's doing them right. But
She's
it
doing them till
takes
2 in the morning.
forever, and she doesn't have time to play and do anything else. And then this is unacceptable. So they actually cut my workload for me, because they tried to put me into a special class, and I spent all the time in the special class helping out all the other kids.
Right.
And they're like, you don't belong here. Like, you need to. Yeah. So what they did, in lieu of that, was just kind of cut back my workload.
Better that than getting in the warehouse.
And it helped me out a lot until I got into higher grades and wasn't able to get that sort of assistance anymore. But
No, and so for the purpose of homework, you have a new technique, work 2 in class in a very detailed way, assign 3 for homework, and walk away.
Yeah.
Right?
History and stuff I can understand, do the next bit, but that's mostly read and have some level of whatever.
knowledge coming into class tomorrow. Right.
Well, and you might want to think about what you're teaching under the guise of history. Because if it's names and dates and that's what you're testing, it's perfectly useless.
Well, especially when all of my research has proven that all these dates and all these times and all these things are fucking different depending on who you talk to.
Yeah. No, but what you could teach with history is the growth of movements and how things changed and so forth.
Yeah, when stuff happened is irrelevant. Why is more important, and what it sets up next is even more. It's the flow of history in total, not on this date, this one thing happened. Like, that one thing is almost irrelevant. It's the tonnage of both sides of before and after.
Yeah, the more important part is what this thing, became in the end, right?
Yeah.
So this event occurred, this thing was written, this whatever war was had, and this was the outcome of said, thing being implemented or war being finished.
The Magna Carta wasn't written because of a single battle.
Yeah.
It was written because of a growing feeling among the other.
If everyone not a king,
that
maybe kings did too much stuff to people without talking to them first.
Yeah.
Kings weren't good on consent.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what the Magna Carta did was limit the power of kings. But that had been coming for years and years and years.
Oh, of course. So now tell me about this fentanyl-laced marijuana. Should we be worried about this? Or
that was just one. I drifted past this. I'm sorry, but what I heard in the back of my head was, just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water. So Connecticut now has verified cases of fentanyl-laced marijuana, because of course they do. Yeah. Right? It is incidentally the first time in the U.S. that we are certain that's what happened. And it's put 39, 40 people in the hospital.
Again,
I believe it.
The fact that megastars are dying from fentanyl, right? They cannot get a clean supply chain. No one below that can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? If Snoop Dogg level people are buying drugs and getting dirty ones, because fentanyl's just a dumb thing to be adding, and I understand why, but...
Well, it certainly has an effect, and it's cheap.
Yeah.
And a tiny bit goes a long, long way.
But it's
I can see that, this stuff is really,
Oh, it's like, and at some level, this is like the kids that used to dip joints in formaldehyde. Like, some of these are just fucking dead enders.
Why would you dip a joint in formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde gets you all fucked up.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea what else it's doing. Like, it can't possibly be good for you.
Well, it's embalming you is what it's doing.
Did I tell you about the one time I smoked weed that had literal purple crystals in it?
Probably opium based on the time the story is told.
Yeah, and
disassociative feelings described.
Yeah, no, I was so fucked up. I didn't touch weed for years after this, but it was the very first time I smoked, and they called it Purple Haze. I don't think that's what it's actually called, but
there's a brand like that.
They called it Purple Haze back then, and it had these little purple. I looked at it and I was like, "There's these little purple crystals in it." And I was like, "That's kind of crazy, but sure, let's go." And again, I didn't know what I was doing and everything. And when I described my symptoms to a friend of mine who was more, I don't know anything about drugs, never really did.
Exactly.
When I described my symptoms, he was like, "Shit, that was laced with opium. What the fuck were you thinking?" I was like, "Whoa."
Well, and that's part of the problem is you're not thinking.
Yeah.
Right. These folks who bought the fentanyl-laced marijuana, right? They didn't know what they were getting.
Right.
right? So I'm sorry, we're not the USDA good source for drug information.
Yeah, basically the explanation is
but-
that I had a
oh,
bad,
shit.
like, allergic reaction to the opium.
Yeah. Anyway, just the stupid people, the stupid
Yeah,
things
be
that
careful
go
where
on in the
you
background.
be
Normal
careful
ass
where you
crap.
get your drugs from, people. Okay, and
Yeah.
like don't do drugs, but like weed is okay, but like don't do hard drugs. Like you get
Don't
fucked.
mess up your life. Handle your shit,
Yeah.
monkeys.
Yeah.
That's all.
Anyway, I was just disturbed by that, so I thought I would bring it to the table.
Yeah, no, that is definitely something to keep an eye on. But anyway, are we ready to move on to Thanksgiving Explained Part 5?
Absolutely.
Okay, so tonight it's about how Thanksgiving made holiday status and became the stuff your face with your family day we know and love. And also I found out there's actually a war for who actually had the first Thanksgiving. So I got a whole new list of information for you tonight. So bear with me. This is going to be a long one, folks. But let's first start with tonight's question to comment on while you like and subscribe. What are you grateful for? Let's start with over your life and then over this past year. Who would like to go first?
I missed the question. What?
What are you grateful for over your lifetime and then over this past year?
Orange cats for a lifetime. And this year, learning that we often don't get to live in the cool world where like the good things happen or it breaks our way or maybe it's not cancer or something.
Right.
But we do live in a world where we hired an absolute goddamn mouth-breathing mutant to hang the top Nazis that we hung. And he rigged it through either inspiration or just sheer incompetence so that when they fell through the trapdoor, it didn't break their necks, so they strangled for like a while, and they all bashed their face on the trapdoor, which meant we all got to punch a Nazi right at the end. And then it took them a while to die. And I'm like, there's not a lot of people you can just piss on them while they're dying, and it's okay. But being
Nazis.
bad to Nazis is about as morally complex as popping bubble wrap.
I just do it.
Yeah. Do
Sorry,
it by the
Nikki.
truckload and enjoy the sound.
So, what am I?
So over your lifetime, what would you
Yeah,
say you're
all right.
thankful for, and then like over the last
Should
year?
I've been lucky beyond my wildest imaginings.
Fair. Fair.
So I'm, like, even being drafted was a blessing in disguise. So, and this year that we're together and we're doing okay.
No.
So,
No,
and we'll have
better.
good conversation at Thanksgiving dinner,
I know. I'm
which
gonna
is
pour
what
'em
the
all.
damn meal is about.
Well, and we're even having it a day freaking early, so go us.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So I would like to say that over my lifetime, I am grateful for my parents who, raised me amazingly, and we don't always see eye to eye, but they've always supported me the best way they could, even when they disagreed with me. Now, I also want to say that I'm thankful for all the people that I've met throughout my life. Most of them I don't speak to anymore, but they've made me who I am today. The good things, the bad things, the in-between things, everything that's turned me into
You are the product of
Risen
living
Lady
today.
Heathen, who is before you now, okay? And as of this past year, now I'm going to kind of be a bit more broad because over the last year and a half, some of you may know, I've moved 3 times, twice across country and once from like one side of a town to another. But everyone who helped me out with that, people were on the phone with me. When I moved out here, Mr. BoomerRex, you were on the phone with me for several hours while I was driving, and you have no idea, that meant the world to me. You helped me get here safely. And just being welcomed into this home and this family, I'm getting teary-eyed. I just am so grateful and so thankful.
Well, we're glad you're here.
I've only been here for a year now, right?
That's
like
right,
I
just
showed
about
up
exactly a
just
year.
about a year ago,
Yeah.
and I feel like I've just lived here
We
forever.
put you in isolation in the camp and made you live there.
Yeah, my first 2 weeks I was risen in the camper.
Yeah.
Yard risen.
I was yard risen. But no, I've only been here for a year, and I feel like I've just been here forever. And I just this is my place. You're all my people, and I couldn't be more grateful or thankful for having met all of you and for just fucking being here. Like it blows my mind to this day. But let's get into our story for what's going on tonight.
Cool.
We left off last night with George Washington issuing the first Thanksgiving proclamation in 1789. John Adams and James Madison followed suit, and both also designated days of thanks during their terms as president. Now, in 1817, New York became the first of several states to have a day of Thanksgiving. At this point, excuse me. At this point, each state had a different day for this celebration. It's still mainly a Northeast New England area that is mainly celebrating this. And the South remains sadly in the dark about the festivities their northern counterparts are enjoying. So this is sad for our southern friends. In 1827, Sarah Josephia Hale, also known as the Mother of Thanksgiving, started a campaign to put Thanksgiving on the calendar as a national holiday. While writing Mary Had a Little Lamb and a million other things, she spent 36 years sending letters to governors, senators, presidents, and any other politician she could. In 1863, Abraham Lincoln, during the height of the Civil War, decided to listen to Sarah and scheduled Thanksgiving for the last Thursday in November, calling on Americans to pray for all the widows, orphans, mourners, and sufferers of all the civil strife. In 1924, Macy's held their first Thanksgiving Day parade in New York, which is now the largest, most famous parade, bringing 2 to 3 million spectators on its 2.5-mile track every year. Then it was celebrated. Thanksgiving was celebrated on the last Thursday of November until 1939, when FDR pushed the holiday to the week before to help the retail market during the Great Depression. FDR's idea was not welcomed and became known as Franksgiving until he moved the holiday this time to the fourth Thursday of November in 1941, where it remains to this day. The annual turkey pardoning began in 1982 by Ronald Reagan. Though others may have done this, he's the first one to be on record doing so. And in case anyone's curious, peanut butter and jelly were the birds on the block this year, and Biden gave peanut butter his full pardon. Neither turkey will get the axe, and will both live out their lives at the Purdue University Animal Science Research and Education Center, where the school said they will live their lives on grass and under shade, away from anyone's Thanksgiving tables. So good for them. Okay. But for a moment, let's back up. In all my research these last days, today, I stumbled across a few things I'd like to bring up. The Texas Society Daughters of the American Colonists claim that's a mouthful, that in 1541, Spanish explorer Francisco Vázquez de Coronado celebrated the very first Thanksgiving in Palo Duro Canyon, calling for a feast of prayer and thanksgiving. I'm not really sure that I even agree if this event could be considered the first Thanksgiving.
The idea of having a big party at harvest time is not new.
No,
right?
It's not.
So I'm sure you can trace it back basically to the dawn of farming civilization.
Right. Kind of since, like,
yeah,
people outside of, Native Americans had a yearly harvest thing, which is where the settlers got it from in New England. But it was mainly New England natives, simply because they actually harvested things and such, whereas some other tribes weren't so much on the harvesting. So it goes back and forth. But another Texas town also claims to be the site of the first Thanksgiving, but this time in 1598. Juan de Onote took 500 women, children, and soldiers through the Chihuahua. Did I say that right?
I have no idea.
Chihuahua Desert to reach the Rio Grande. They make it barely alive, almost dying of thirst and exhaustion after 10 days of rest near the current San Elzaro, Texas. Anate proclaimed a feast of Thanksgiving. And guess what? Yet another place, this time in Maine, at Fort St. George, claim their piece of the first Thanksgiving pie, saying there was a feast of Thanksgiving with the Native Americans. The English gathered with the Abenaki at Fort St. George for a harvest feast and prayer meeting. And some historians argue that the Spanish in St. Augustine, Florida, shared a festive meal with their local Timucuan tribe after their ship landed in 1565. So I guess take your pick.
The ones in Texas and Florida are very fun stories for Spain to tell about their whatever Thanksgiving. Texas doesn't count until 1831. When did we lose a bet and they become a state?
Oh God, I don't even know.
1845.
Okay.
Fuck, we must have been drunk.
But I guess if you're looking at like colonists that became like Americans, then you could kind of argue
Or you could say it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They
The
were
one in
harvest
Maine?
festivals.
Yep.
But again, technically, so was the one we discussed was
Yeah,
also technically a harvest festival.
yeah.
So
All of them are. They make sure
Yeah.
that your people have enough food to go through winter.
So
So
anyway,
it turns out George Washington picked one.
you can debate who actually had the first Thanksgiving till you're blue in the face, and no one's ever going to agree.
Unless you're
on
from
that.
Texas. Texas, you get enough. Sit down. Don't horn in on other people's things, Texas.
That's right.
Otherwise, I'm going to have New Mexico build a big white building. We'll be like, oh, we fought a fight here at some point.
The Texans are kind of like the Russians.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know, was invented in Russia.
Yeah.
So tomorrow we'll do part 6. I'm not gonna.
You didn't tell me about the war.
The war is between the cities that are claiming they have a
Oh,
time
okay.
limit.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's the war. They're
Oh, okay.
all debate. They're all saying,
All
no, it was
debating.
us. No, it was us. They all got their hands raised, waving their
Cool.
hands like, oh, me. Anyway, so tomorrow for part 6.
You know how I know who won?
Right?
I go down and look at the calendar and see which one is a federal holiday. So,
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know.
way to go, George.
I don't know what time of the year any of these were had and blah blah blah. But anyway,
Neither does that.
I'm willing to bet that it followed the harvest, which depends on where you at.
Yep.
not the soldier one because he just was like, we're just marching through this desert and
And they got through it, and they had a big celebration. Cool. Till the beer ran out.
All the survivors were like, woo, not die.
pretty much, yeah.
So-
But anyway, I'm not going to go into detail about what I'm going to do tomorrow because I have found as I've been doing this research that it limits me if I have to focus on what I told you guys I was going to focus on.
Yeah.
So tomorrow will be
You have
part
new
6.
ideas?
We're
Okay.
gonna spin the wheel and just the wheel of craziness and just see what comes up. We'll just
Okay.
see what happens.
Sounds good.
All right.
That's why you should like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to comment with your friends' names and stuff that you think it would be funny to hear me try to desperately pronounce your
Like
name, your friend's
Onyate.
name, any random name you Google online. I don't care.
Like Onyate.
What, the one I was just saying?
Yes,
It's
Onyate.
Onate.
No problem.
I have nothing.
For those of you who missed
I
it,
don't know.
I just gave
Are
him
they
the
on their
finger.
ancestral lands?
What?
Are they on their ancestral lands? Then I don't think they get to decide how it's pronounced.
At that time, it was their
This-
ancestral land.
this
They had
thing-
just conquered it.
Now.
This is
Okay.
this is actually a Spanish name, Onate.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, so anyway,
And I was just teasing you.
no, you're fine. So anyway,
I grew up in the Southwest, right? So when you discuss that portion of
My
history,
deepest
when Oñate
condolences.
came and so forth, and Cortez, and right, you get the proper pronunciations,
yeah.
right? So,
No, I have no problem being corrected when I say things wrong.
other than flipping me off, but that's okay.
Well, when you're being a dick about it, I'm gonna flip you off, and it's all in good fun. You said it was
Of
in good
course,
fun,
yeah.
so I can flip you off in good fun.
Absolutely.
All right. We love y'all. Thank you once again for hanging out with us for this exciting
It's another version
evening.
of millennials versus boomers.
Go out and do something interesting on the internet.
Yeah, let us
Yeah.
know. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.
Go check out the corporate revolution that almost happened.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll come back and do a show on that.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
We'll
Yeah.
see you tomorrow for Thanksgiving Explained Part 6 on Boomer Rex Tonight.
Feel the burn.